Hi guys, thanks for checking out the channel. In this video we're going to be installing a Jackoboard wet room former. Right, let me just give you a run through of this job. So we are first fixing a downstairs shower room, and the customer has requested for a wet room former to be installed. Part of the reason for this is just going to be kind of like the utility shower room. Dog's going to be coming in here, kids after rugby, stuff like that. So we're not having a shower tray, we don't want to damage it. We are going to be installing a wet room former. So as you can see, I have carried out quite a lot of the donkey work already. I've put a chase in to accommodate that 1.5 inch pipe. That goes straight into our saw pipe, which is over there. And I've also chopped out a channel for the trap, which is rather large on these Jacko boards. So my advice with wet rooms is, ideally they want to be on the ground floor. So especially if you've got a solid floor, it works really well, I would say. I'm a bit hesitant to install them upstairs just in case you get any problems, but the way we're going to be installing this one is going to be beltless and braces, and yeah, we'll run you through the whole procedure of installing a tray and also tanking the wet area. So let's go and have a look at the former and the components that come with the Jackoboard itself. Okay, this is the Jackoboard wet room former itself. Now it's pretty much identical to the construction of the waterproof panels that you'd install on the wall, except from it's not 10 or 12 mil, this one is actually 20 mil. Now you can cut these down, so I have actually cut this to size, as the room is quite an unusual shape, which is what the customer wanted in their design. So just trim the edges either side just to keep the drain in the middle. Now when we brought this kit, also comes with the trap, which is this thing here. So like I said, it is quite large, so that's why there's quite a lot gunned out in that room back there. And obviously all the components come with a trap. You get really detailed instructions, which is pretty helpful, especially if you're installing it for the first time. And I paid a little bit extra for this grate, stainless steel, so it should look nice once it's all done. And then in this tub here we've got like our tanking stuff, which we'll run through later, but we've got like the sealing tape and paint, etc. So pretty good really. I think this is around about £400. And what I'm going to do now is I actually will put the trap on, put the tray in location, make sure I've actually gunned out enough, and then we can look at adhering this Jackoboard down to the floor. So this waste on here, this all comes pre-installed, you don't need to attach any of this. So that, if I spin that around, that's what you get on the back or the underside, pretty much like a spigot. And then the trap with the rubber washer on it literally just pushes straight on like so. Quite easy to do even without lubricant, and then you have a locking ring which you can then lock it into place. Okay, this is a trap that you get with a Jackoboard kit. It is made in Germany, so as you'd expect, the connection on the end is slightly unusual to what we're used to in the UK. They do, however, provide you with this grey adapter that comes in the tub, so that slides on that. You would solvent weld that on. You then got your 50mm or 55mm, whatever brand you're using, that slides on top of that. And then put our 55mm to 43mm 1.5 reducer in there, and then we can drop that into that channel. It is quite bulky, so you need to gun out quite a lot, and if you're running it in timber floor, obviously you need to make sure you allow the space against the joists. So I'll get that all sealed up, make sure it's watertight, and then I can connect this to the Jackoboard former and drop it into position. Right, to adhere this down to the base, we're using a flexible tile adhesive, so similar practice to how we would install shower trays. So James is just applying that now. We're actually only using a 6mm trowel bead because we don't really want this to be sort of proud of the floor. We actually want it to be supported all across. So that's the main difference between this Jackoboard and something like an Impy board. The Impy you can sort of screw straight onto joists, you don't need to necessarily worry about supporting it underneath. But these Jackoboard ones, you do need to have it fully supported. So try not to use a 10mm trowel, try to use a 6mm trowel. That will get it closely adhered to the surface, and need to make sure obviously that floor is nice and level before you do this. So James did kindly apply some floor leveler beforehand, so this surface is really easy for us to work on. So once that's down, we will then back butter this wet room former, and then we can drop that down into position. What I have done by applying the piping beforehand is I've actually cut it down in a channel so I can join that with a slip coupling afterwards, so it should be nice and simple.
Oh yes, back butter me, Luke.
I'll keep that down. Right, former is now bedded down, and I did actually secure the trap before we did this, but I'll just show you now how to secure it. So once you've got the trap pushed in on that spigot on the underside, you can get this locking ring that comes with it. That pushes down, and you can just by hand just start to turn it. That will actually pull the trap up into position, and then once it starts getting tight, you have this key here which locks in the grooves, and you just twist that around. So really simple to do, and that's it. That is locked into position, trap in place. Now what we did do is, as we were dropping it down, I actually cut this pipe back and just put a coupling in as we were doing it. Just made it quite a bit easier to get it all glued and put into location. Now we do have this slight void area here which runs up to the trap, so what we will do is we will either backfill it with adhesive or just fill it up with a good expanded foam, and that's it. Job done as far as the form is concerned. Just need to run down some water once this glue's set, make sure we've got no leaks, and now we are good to put the waterproof panels on. So while I've been fitting this Growy toilet frame with a Japanese toilet seat adapter, James has been busy fitting these weddy boards, sorry Jacko, and getting it all tanked. So when we say tanked, we basically mean we're just getting it waterproof. So if anything was to fail and go past the tile, we wouldn't technically have any problems. So we use these types of boards whenever we're in wet areas, just because they are waterproof. So if you're still putting moisture resistant board behind your showers, etc., you really need to stop doing it. They're not waterproof at all, and eventually they'll fail and give you problems. So for belts and braces, James has installed these boards, but he's also applied like a waterproof tanking polymer which comes out of a silicone type gun, put it between all the joints, and then as he's pushing them together, it's obviously creating that watertight seal, and the panels themselves are absolutely waterproof. Now once that's all dry, we are then going to prime the area with the primer that comes with this Jackoboard kit. So over here you can see what you actually get. So the primer is here, so that's the next stage really, is to get all the areas primed that we're going to be adding the actual tanking membrane stuff. And then you also get these internal corners. So what you would do is, once it's all primed, you would push that into the corner, then you would get a paintbrush, and then you would actually apply some of this membrane tanking gear, like purple gloop, over in the corner, and that will then dry and ensure that it is all waterproof. So not only do you get the internal corners, you also get a 10-meter roll of straight length, so you can obviously run it around the perimeter of the tray, and then also any joints on the board itself. It's also important to cut little sections off of that, put it over the screws and the washers, and just ensure that's all waterproof, as well as around any pipes, etc., or any holes in the boards. And that's pretty much it. So hopefully that shows you that it's not too difficult to actually install a waterproof system or wet room type system. It's actually fairly straightforward. You should really be doing all this stuff when you're installing any type of shower room, so actually it's not a huge difference compared to what we would normally do with a shower tray. So once it's all tiled, I will return and literally just drop the grate in, put the shower on, which is just a bar mixer on this one, and this one will be good to go. So thank you very much for watching this video. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll catch you on the next one.